To sync Bill.com API documentation. Start by understanding the basics of the Bill.com API and its documentation. The Bill.com API is a set of programming interfaces that allow developers to access and manage Bill.com data, such as bills, payments, and vendors. The API documentation provides detailed information on how to use these interfaces, including code samples, error handling, and authentication methods. First, review the Bill.com API documentation to identify the specific endpoints and methods you need to sync. The API documentation is typically organized by endpoint, with each endpoint describing the available methods, parameters, and response formats. For example, the bills endpoint may have methods for creating, reading, updating, and deleting bills. Next, choose an API syncing method, such as webhooks or polling. Webhooks allow the Bill.com API to push updates to your application in real time, while polling involves periodically requesting updates from the API. Webhooks are generally more efficient and scalable, but may require additional setup and infrastructure. To set up webhooks, register your application with the Bill.com API and specify the events you want to receive updates for, such as new bills or payments. The Bill.com API will then send updates to your application in real time, using a callback URL you provide. To set up polling, use the Bill.com API to request updates at regular intervals, such as every minute or hour. This involves making repeated requests to the API, using parameters such as date or timestamp to filter results. Polling can be less efficient than webhooks, but may be simpler to implement and require less infrastructure. Once you have chosen an API syncing method, implement error handling and logging to ensure your application can recover from errors and exceptions. This includes handling authentication errors, network errors, and API rate limits. You should also log API requests and responses to monitor performance and troubleshoot issues. Best practices for syncing Bill.com API documentation include testing your implementation thoroughly, using secure authentication methods, and monitoring API performance and usage. You should also stay up to date with changes to the Bill.com API and its documentation, and adapt your implementation accordingly. By following these steps and best practices, you can successfully sync Bill.com API documentation and build robust and scalable applications that integrate with the Bill.com platform.